Good day, poker peeps. My name is Sky with Smart Poker Study, and in this video, I'm going to help you put your opponent on a 3-bet calling range, both with and without a HUD. So this is useful for anybody who plays live, obviously without a HUD, or maybe you play on an online site that doesn't allow the HUD, but you want to be putting your opponents on those 3-bet calling ranges because you want to gauge how well it interacts with the flop to help you decide whether or not you should c-bet for value or c-bet as a bluff. Anytime you see the flop, actually, you want to think about your opponent's range based on how they got into the pot. A limp calling range is different from a raise calling 3-bet range, is different from a cold 3-betting range, is different from a big blind defending calling range, right? All those ranges are different, and the more thought you put into, the more building of ranges that you do, the easier it's going to be for you to gauge how well their range interacts with the board to make some good post-flop decisions against them. So we're going to start. We've got a 3-bet hand right here. And of course, Flopzilla, my favorite range building tool. And down here are the steps for assigning a range without a HUD. And over here, assigning a range with a HUD. So we're going to do both. But let's do without a HUD first. So let's see the action of the hand. Fold. Villain 4 open raises. Fold. And then we 3-bet right here. Fold, fold. And he calls. Perfect. So step 1, of course, is assign a 2-betting range, because we can't know what he calls 3-bets with if we don't first think about his open raising range, because he can't call a 3-bet with 10-3 suited if he doesn't open raise with that in the first place, right? So like I said here, the first step is assign a 2-betting range. Now, if I told you this is a loose aggressive villain and he's in the MP, I would say that his range would probably be something like this. Open raising out of the MP. He still has 4 players yet to act. Let's see. So all the pocket pairs, of course. I like suited broadways out of the MP. Every lag opens these hands. They probably open as far down to 7-6, maybe 6-5, but 7-6 for sure. Lags love suited aces, of course, everybody does. Offsuit aces, probably ace-10 and better. Not the 9, not the ace-3 offsuit. King-queen can open raise. King-jack, king-10, maybe not. I think king-10 suited would. King-10 offsuit not. So let's go with this. I'm pretty happy with this range for an MP open raise from a loose aggressive player. So that's step 1. Next is remove 4-betting hands, because as you can see, we 3-bet. And at this point, villain 4 has 3 options: fold, 4-bet, or call, right? He chose to call, so he did not 4-bet. So we need to remove those 4-betting hands. Now, unless you have a really good read and you know your opponent loves to 4-bet with ace-king every time, or jacks and 10s and stuff, I would often just remove the top of their range. Just aces, kings, and if we know something about this opponent, let's say that they would 4-bet with queens as well. Given our player type, maybe they would always 4-bet with that against us. So you remove those 4-betting hands. Next, you remove their folding hands. What is automatically folding versus this 10 big blind 3-bet? And we have to think about the situation. We made it 7 more big blinds. That 10 big blinds is rather hefty size. We're hitting their pain threshold for sure. Plus, if they call, they're going to the flop out of position against us. That's probably going to narrow his calling range quite drastically. So let's start removing those folding hands. I think these often fold. King, queen offsuit, they often fold as well, just in case we have aces, kings, queens, ace, king, ace, queen. He's a dog against all those. But when it comes to suited hands, players do like to play these. He is out of position, so let's have him folding the worst suited hands. Maybe just queen, jack, and king, queen are better. Maybe he thinks that we're capable of bluffing some like ace-5 suited, 7-6 suited, stuff like that. Let's remove all those smaller suited aces, but keep the bigger ones in. And then as far as pocket pairs go, he might call to set mine, even though he's out of position. You see how much we have left behind? 138 big blinds. He has us covered. There's plenty of money in his mind probably to go after by hitting a set, or in the rare instance of hitting a set, right? So he's probably able to set mine here. So I'm going to give him 108 combo calling range. Let's actually type that in. 108 combos, just so we remember for when we use the HUD now. So that's the process. Those are the 4 steps, or those are the 3 steps. The last step is to give it the old sniff test. So take a look at the range, reconsider the situation. He's calling a large 3-bet out of position. Do all of these hands make sense? Deuces through jacks feels right. The suited aces, they have straight potential. If we have ace-5, he's got a better hand than us. ace, queen, because they're so pretty. A lot of people just can't fold them. King, queen, and queen, jack, couple of the strongest broadways. I'm pretty happy with this range right here for this player. So let's clear this. Let's now do the same exact thing with a HUD now. And this is this player's HUD. So the first thing you're going to use, raise first in by position to build their range. Now I have this within a pop-up right here. Raise first in the MP is 19%. I think we had roughly an 18% range, but let's go ahead and build it to 19%. And when I put in a percentage, or if I use the slider right here, I always give it the sniff test at this level. I really do think, why would he stop at threes and deuces? He's open raising those for sure. Maybe not these offsuits, but instead of those, maybe if he's raising 19% of the time, and you see we have over 2K hands on this player. Oh, 1.6K less, it rounded up. But I really think he is maybe adding in some suited gappers there. Players do, if they play Jack 9, they're playing Queen 9 and King 9 as well. So let's go ahead and go with this range. It's a 20.7% range. He open raises so far at 19%, but you can't go exactly by that percentage, right? Use the sniff test and feel this range out. This range seems right to me. We can even add another hand, 6-5 suited right here. So that was step one. Step two is use 4-bet by position and then remove 4-betting hands because he chose to call. So 4-bet, this is the same pop-up. 4-bet as a total. Out of the MP, it's 13%, but it's only 1 out of 8. That doesn't tell me he 3-bets 13% of the time. It's not like we want to remove the top 13% of hands. I'm going to stick with the same. Queens, kings, and aces. It's only 1 out of 8. I can't really go by that to determine that he loves 4-betting a ton of hands. I'm just sticking with the most common 4-betting hands here. Now, use 2-bet and then fold to 3-bet to gauge how much of their range is folding, and then remove folding hands. So this statistic, I don't use just fold to 3-bet. That isn't good enough. It doesn't give me exacting enough information. A better stat, as you can read right there, hopefully it's not too small for you, fold to preflop 3-bet after raising. You put it in a pop-up, of course, so that you can see raise and then fold by position. Out of the MP, he raises, then folds 50% of the time. It is only 4 out of 8, but we can remove roughly half of his range right here. 260 combos, so let's start removing some of the weakest hands until we get to roughly 130 combos or so. You can see before, we left him at 108, but we'll build it to 130, and then we'll do the sniff test and see what we think about it. So let's remove some of the weakest hands here. Now, I'm not looking at the combos. I'm just kind of removing the weakest hands. I can always add some of these back to kind of get me to that 130 combo area. Or combo count, I guess. Let's see here. 9-8, 10-9. King, queen, I'm not a big fan of. Ace, jack, maybe he can call. King, jack. Did 128 combos. Feel this out. I really want to remove that. Yeah. So we removed his folding hands. Now we want to give it the good old sniff test. We know now by looking at his stats, loose aggressive player, 25-19, C-bets a ton, double barrels a lot, folds a lot on flops right here, folds in general 59% versus 3-bets, and as we saw, 50% out of the MP. I'm pretty happy with this final range right here, giving it the good old sniff test, ace-10. King, jack makes sense as well, and jack-10. People love calling with jack-10 suited, right? I'm good with this range. So now we've ended 116 combos, which is basically just 4 combos more. I think these are it. That's all that we added by utilizing the HUD. So what this is a good indication is whether you're using your HUD or just using the logic and using your experience with these different player types, you're going to often come up with roughly the same range. If your range, not using a HUD and then using a HUD, are vastly different, then there's some kind of disconnect in the logic that you're using right there. Or you could have really not understood what kind of player he was, and all of a sudden when you look at his HUD, bam, things become a little bit more clear. All right, so now that we've built his range, let's see what that board comes out to be. He calls right here. Let's put him on this range. So one of the reasons why, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, why we put players on ranges is so that we can gauge how well their range interacts with the board to give us some good information post-flop to help us make good plays. Now, as you can see, I didn't hit a pair, just 2 overcards and a backdoor straight draw. If I'm going to c-bet, it is for a bluff. Now, with this range on this board, let me just quiz you right now. How often do you think he actually hits an open-ended straight draw or better, or a top pair hand or better? Maybe 30%, maybe 28%, somewhere around there. 10 of spades, 7 of spades, 4 of diamonds. Wow, even less, 26% of the time he hits top pair or better and an open-ended straight draw or better. And you can see actually he doesn't even hit any open-enders because he doesn't have the 8-9 nor the 5-6 in his 3-bet calling range. Those were in his 2-betting range. But because we 3-bet, it limited his range, narrowed his range a bit. And on this board, it's not a good board for him, right? He's out of position. He's going to fold if he... he's going to fold 6s, 5s, 9s, and 8s might even fold versus a good enough sized bet right here. If he only hits 26%, we can assume he's folding roughly 74. So I think a c-bet bluff is in order right now. And then we make a roughly 3/4 pot, and he folds. Lovely, we took it down, but we utilized our visualization, putting him on a 3-bet range to help us make a profitable c-bet bluffing decision right here. Alrighty, everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up down below and subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this every Thursday. I'll catch you next time.